Oh god, I forgot to hit all the buttons. Oh, now I grabbed my beer late. I'm late on the Kanpai. I'm gonna have to drink it now.
Wow. What a wine.
Hi. No, it's beer.
Yeah, it's beer.
Welcome everyone to episode 101 of Kanpai Cast. We're going to be talking about live action adaptations again. I think Zeno, you had a particular twist you wanted to put on this one because it's not just live action adaptations, right? Or is
it's it's kind of the value of live action adaptation.
Yeah,
right. As opposed to so it's not just like, oh, let's do it like a critique of live action adaptations.
Although we will probably be doing that as well. But before we get into that, we got a little bit of housekeeping. I don't think we really have much in the way. Just, hey, everyone, we've got a Discord. If you haven't joined the Discord yet, I don't know what you're doing because we actually have a lot of fun over there. Thaylien and I just today got into a heated discussion about this very topic. We were prepping for the show. Got a little preview in there. But we also have memes. The Kanpai Cast Twitter account, that regularly posts memes. We have the same ones cross-posted on Discord. So if you don't like Twitter anymore, you can go follow us there. You can go follow us on Instagram.
Tumblr.
Do we have a Tumblr? Yeah, Tumblr. Blue Sky.
Yeah. Instagram, we don't really do anything with Instagram.
Instagram, we don't really do anything with. Yeah.
And I need the Blue Sky update on my boards.
Ooh, we should have that. Ooh.
Yep.
Ooh, we should switch those from Twitter icons to Blue Sky icons. There we go.
Well, that's the problem. I don't think there is actually a branded icon, which is the most confusing thing in the universe.
Yeah. It's more like the service than it is the website.
Yep. Right. Are we gonna move on, or is there anything else in housekeeping?
If you make sure you leave comments because we love comments. Let's get into it, shall we?
Right, now let us move on to, I think the first point I want to talk to you guys about is you both have seen this, whereas I have not.
Well, I haven't seen all of it. I've only seen 4 episodes, but I feel like that's enough.
The new One Piece adaptation.
Alrighty.
So
the one thing that Nasuth and I agree on, which is the fact that this is an adaptation, the plot's mid. But that's because the plot of One Piece originally is
also mid. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's
done
bad.
Well.
It's just as having not seen One Piece, I can't tell you how accurate it is to the original plot. But it didn't feel like they had the energy in the actors, and I actually really liked the guy who played Boogie. What's his name? The clown.
Clown.
The guy who played the clown, Buggy. The guy who played the clown was actually really good, which I think is what carried episode 2 so well for me. I actually really enjoyed episode 2.
Mm-hmm.
So like they do definitely have the energy, I feel. But anyway,
I definitely feel that the actors themselves, for the most part, were born to play these roles. You couldn't have found somebody that smiles more like Luffy than they did with this guy, or can capture the just that complete, almost blasé focus on just doing what he feels like. He wants food, he wants piracy, he wants adventure, and he wants everyone to be happy.
Yeah.
As well. So when he sees somebody making other people unhappy, he's going to punch him in the face. And
having never seen,
he's a simple man. He's not a stupid one. That's what you get from this.
Yeah. Again, having never seen One Piece, I have a theory that he's actually the reincarnation of Gold Roger, and Gold Roger's power is that he can reincarnate. That's his devil fruit, so he can never really die.
So,
and also
this is not
sorry, go ahead. No, go
Okay,
ahead.
yeah, go on.
Oh,
I was going to say, because you can't really spoil this. It's been going for years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So go ahead.
And the other one was that Eden Zero is just this set in space.
Pretty much. It's a classic storyline that you can go with for everything. And
Shiki is Luffy.
Yeah.
The Straw Hat Crew is the stars,
exactly
and yeah.
Well, it's your stereotypical like Shonen Jump series because, like, I mean, literally, Eden Zero could not be more fairy tale in space.
Yeah, that
because it is done by the same author with the same characters. Like,
yes.
you know, it's but yeah.
No, the thing is that there is a lot of connection to Gold Roger in the show, but no, I can confirm your theory is not correct.
Oh,
okay.
It totally is.
But
so I have
Luffy has better connections than just that. Okay,
I have a non-zero number of questions. Right?
Okay.
And I feel like this will best serve our time. So first off, right, what is the pacing like? Because the pacing of the original series is slow at best.
I can't compare it to the original series, but I felt like the pacing was all right. The first two episodes were each kind of their own mini arc, and then episodes 3 and 4 were sort of a longer connected arc, and then I think they started off on another one again.
What would help you, Xeno, is that these are hour-long episodes.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they cover a lot more ground in one episode than they would normally. So the first episode is a whole, what would be 2 or 3 episodes of the anime.
Right.
So the pacing is per episode a lot better.
Not as much
but
filler, I imagine.
But it has that slow build, and they have pared down quite a lot of things for time.
Okay, so I think I watched around episode 35 when they were first introduced to, I want to say Sanji, who was the chef, right?
Yes.
You know, that was 35 episodes just to get Usopp, Zoro.
Usopp is in 3 and 4. We get him in 4.
Okay. And I want to say Nami.
You've got Zoro and Nami by the end of episode 1.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, with them. You've got Captain Buggy's whole arc done in episode 2.
Yeah.
Right.
Then you have
I don't even remember that.
The arc of meeting Usopp and his ship.
Yeah.
In the next 2 episodes, because those are that's a build-up, and Sanji is introduced in episode 5, I think.
Right. Okay.
And his arc is he actually joins them as their arc in episode 6.
Okay. So this is F tons faster.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Fine. So it feels like this would be a better entry point into One Piece than necessarily watching the anime, right? I think maybe this is a better way of...
no, I would say, but yeah.
I feel like this is a good entry point. I feel this is a good entry point to then maybe go and read the manga, right?
Could be.
I recently watched a short which basically spouted out half-truths, where basically anime isn't produced to make more seasons and things like that. It's actually produced to sell the manga. Now, I imagine it's also used to sell merch and shit like this as well, but I can easily imagine it to also have an impact on manga sales. Yeah,
we definitely see that, because there's all the time we see like, I skip these stories in the news, but we see stuff like, hey, Demon Slayer topped the U.S. sales of books this season, or this season. It's like, wait, really?
Yeah,
and all books, not just graphic novels.
Oh, yeah. So I imagine in terms of... I had a point to this. Shit, well, where did I start? Oh, so yeah, I feel that this has a very good potential to introduce you into the manga more so than... Yeah. Now, one question...
I'll tell you what it does do very well, is it does have its world expansion in nice bite-sized pieces. So,
in what sense?
So, I remember you asking at one point about the geography of their world. You know, the Grand Line, the Red Line, the oceans, how it all worked.
Yeah.
They do a bite-size. All right, this is our world. These are the 4 oceans. This is the Grand Line. This is the Red Line.
One of these images is actually them explaining it. Yeah.
Yeah. So they actually draw a chalk drawing of the world on the table to, show how it makes sense. They don't go into much more detail because you don't need much more detail, but it does explain what they're talking about at the time.
Yeah.
So it makes things, I think, as an introduction to the universe and how things work, it's very well done.
Okay, I can appreciate that. The set design and everything looks really good from the stills that I have seen.
A lot of good details.
I will say though that it seems to be doing a lot about what's in focus and what's not in focus.
Yep. And that's one of my major complaints.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, do we really need to have the last 2 rows of
and the
troops?
Motion blur? Oh god, the motion blur. You don't know how hard it was to get a still image that looked good because of the sheer amount of motion blur, even in scenes that don't need it.
Really?
Mm.
And like everything, they do a lot of depth of field, and there's this other technique that they often employ, where like the center of the frame. Oh, here's where the chalk drawing they were talking about. The center of the frame is in focus, and then the further out you go, it goes into more and more soft focus. And
wait, as in radiating from the center?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So the edges of the screen are out of focus as opposed to the distance.
Yes.
That's odd.
And it was really annoying.
It felt fine to me. It felt like it was keeping the focus better
in the right place.
You know, better than depth of field did at the time, or would have.
All it did was bother me and take me out of the scene.
Well, I mean, like, I can appreciate it for a shot like this that we're seeing on screen right now. It's all right to have both Luffy and Zoro in focus.
Right above me.
But yeah, the stuff on the edge out of focus. I mean, again, making that stuff out of focus isn't the end of the world because there's no depth of field, right? It feels odd that the focus would be out of focus like that, but okay, this is actually a really good question. How do they do Zoro with his 3-sword style, right?
Fairly well.
Yeah. Does he have like his mouth massively gap or?
No, I think that they in this they actually have 2 types of sword. You know, like where he got the sword he's carrying, and then when he bites down on it, it's one with a slightly reduced grip, so that it doesn't look smaller. Doesn't look weird.
Right. Okay.
But the thing is, they've handled that very well. They've done minimal. Well, in the early series, there's minimal scenes where he has to do that, so they've not had to worry about it too much. And Zoro does do, as a character, a lot of pose, move, pose stuff.
Right.
Which more so than the others.
Okay.
Because of course they're hitting that samurai swordsman feel.
So people may wonder, like, what the fuck am I banging on about? So in One Piece, the mouths of like nearly all the characters are massive. So holding a Thaylien, you have your Bokken around, don't you?
I do somewhere.
Could you are you able to quickly go grab it so you can demonstrate ever so slightly?
If you want to pause quickly.
Yeah, let's pause quickly. Okay, right, so we're back. Thalien's got his Bokken. Now the whole thing I want to highlight is like how thick and like meaty the actual handle is. Like if Thaylien was to hold on to it, he needs to be able to have a firm grasp with his hand, right? But if he was to bite down on it, his jaw would be really... Yeah, exactly. It doesn't look good, right?
Yeah.
It looks really... You can't properly get your mouth around it because your mouth isn't supposed to latch on like that.
Your mouth is a hinge, not a gripper.
Exactly, right? So so my question was, how good did... You stop now.
They didn't focus on it. That's the thing. They showed him putting it in his mouth.
Yeah.
But they didn't actually focus on that as part of the fight scenes a lot. So...
Yeah,
they handled it quite well.
Did they actually explain at any point in time the origin of the sword?
Yes. So they have. Right. This is in this whole series, from episode 1 to 8, is the entire Collect the Crew saga before they actually travel to the Grand Line. So this is it goes all the way to the end of rescuing Nami from the fisherman.
That's far beyond where I got.
Exactly, and I think that's 35 episodes in on the original.
No, 35 episodes is where they met Sanji.
Yeah, this is where you got in. Yeah,
yeah.
So it's more than that to get to that.
So
to that
how many episodes is this?
8.
8.
So they met,
and by 5 they get Sanji.
They really compress it down.
Mm-hmm.
That's because there's so much filler.
There's great bits that they actually do cut out, which they made perfect sense in the anime because they needed more drama and to fill out the show a bit. Is a fight where that's in the last 2 episodes between Luffy and the captain of the Arlong pirates, and in the anime they use the fact that in One Piece, if you ate a devil fruit to get powers, you then can't swim.
Yeah. You just
so in this, of course, against a fishman, who was basically, is very powerful in the water. Of course, all he thought he had to do was throw him in the water, and then he wouldn't be able to move.
Yeah.
So, in that, Luffy's companions distract Arlong long enough for Usopp to literally drag Luffy's stretchy head out of the water so he can breathe again.
Right.
And so there's a whole section of that fight where Usopp is basically hiding in a corner with Luffy's head so he can breathe, while Zoro and Sanji take on the Fisherman Pirates.
Right.
That whole thing doesn't happen in this because it's completely unnecessary to this series. It doesn't need to happen, and it's a good thing to cut, as it were.
Okay. Now, one question I have is down to the quality of the performance, right? Now, we're not actors, but we can spot a bad performance from a mile away, right?
No, they're all pretty good. They're all pretty good. We said that earlier. We said that earlier, yeah.
Okay.
So I would say, these two right here, Luffy and Buggy, these actors
probably
nailed their roles.
Yeah.
Genuinely nailed their roles. It's hard to get Zoro wrong because he's a taciturn, I guess I won't kill you this time kind of man.
Yeah.
And they really did get the attitude right on him. So like the second he's actually captured and they're trying to scare him, he just can't scare him. He's confident that something will happen that will free him, and the second they free him, he's ready to deal with the person that was threatening him before. It's really really simple character to get, and they got it right. Nami, a little bit more tricky. In the anime, she's a lot more shouty.
Yeah.
She's a lot more overreaction to the things that are going on. And they don't say the iconic line, which is, I think, I like only 2 things: tangerines and money, which is
and I'm all out of money.
Actually, a play.
Wait,
it's a play on words because in the culture that Nami is supposed to be from, tangerines are how they make wealth.
Right.
And it's as an Asian thing as well, in general, a Japanese thing as well. Tangerines were had by the rich. So what she's saying is, I like money and money.
Right. But that's kind of
they did,
well, in this one,
she's
caught stealing some stuff in one of the episodes, and they're like, she's like, I hate pirates. They accuse her of being a pirate, and she's like, I hate pirates, but I am who I am. And I think that's as close as you get to, I like tangerines and money.
Yeah. Exactly. So it is an anime adaptation. You're trying to get these characters right, and of course, the characters in anime are massively overreacting to some things and massively underreacting to others because of the animation budget. But I don't know. They just managed to get some of these spot on to how I remember the show, and even going back and watching a couple of the episodes to remember them, it's right. You know.
So another question I have is, because obviously this is heavily going to be utilizing CG for the likes of Luffy's stretchiness and things, right? How on point was the CG?
Pretty good.
Well handled, I'd say. Yeah.
In fact, I'd say that the normal choreographed fights were the ones that suffered the most. They looked like they were something out of Hercules: The Legendary Journeys or Xena Warrior Princess.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Very,
like that.
very low budget choreography fighting.
I did love the way they incorporated the bounties.
Yeah.
Because every character, if they're a pirate, is introduced with a bounty poster that they interact with in some way.
Yeah, like the one before
Buggy
on
the
the screen
Clown.
before he slashed it. He has these slashers.
So Buggy
he
the
slashed it in
Clown's
half.
one appears and he swipes it out the way, or the character in question there slices it to ribbons with finger swords. And they even have one of the special characters, Hawkeye's Mihawk, introduced with a properly ostentatious fight, and he cuts a ship in half. And the CGI on that's actually really good. So
I don't remember that.
I don't think
I may have gotten that far.
The episode after.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So Mihawk is a great character in this, and I love the way they portray him. It's honestly, the CG is
not bad. It's not bad
to make this. They've worked hard to make it look as realistic as it's going to get. I don't think these effects are actually going to age too badly.
Luffy's are probably the best. You can tell they spent the most of their money there, but that's fine, given that he's the hero. I kind of expect that. You know.
Also, because he's stretchy rubber man. So
yeah, too.
Putting those distortions in, putting the force perspective in on like his fist appearing right in front of the screen when he throws it back to punch, it's reasonably well handled. I don't think they could really get better without going massively over budget.
Okay, and then I think the last question I have is, do you feel that there are any parts of this where if they spent the money on practical effects, it would have been better? You already commented on how underwhelming some of the practical fights are without special effects.
Apparently, there's also a scene where one of the swords bends.
It's not the sword. It's the sheath.
Scabbard.
The sheath. The scabbard. Yeah, bends.
The sheath on the white sword actually folds in half when it's doing a roll. So getting a little bit of after to get that out. Nasuth would be absolutely tickled pink if they would use some of the budget to color correct everything.
Yeah, I don't know if you've been able to tell from all these images we've been cycling through, but there's a lot of brown and gray and not a lot of oversaturation like you would expect for an anime. Not even a lot of regular saturation.
That's not necessarily a bad thing, because it's like, I mean, they did like barely tone down the colors and everything in the Cowboy Bebop. I really wish we left it in the system. The Cowboy Bebop series.
But that one's supposed to be dark and gritty, whereas One Piece is more lighthearted adventure.
Yes, so I do get where you're
with a couple of
coming from
exceptions.
with things. Like, I mean, having everything so heavily brown just feels off. I mean, even the lighting in this one shot, I don't know if it's supposed to be dusk or something.
Well, this is actually a flashback. It's sepia tone flashback.
But a flashback doesn't have to look gross.
It always was in the show. They did sepia tone as many of the flashbacks as they could.
I guess that's all right then.
Unless they needed to show off specific colors, then they would do them a little differently.
And this, I'm alright with it being kind of sterile. But like, Luffy is such a washed
Why
out
does he have
red.
a CG hat?
He
Does he?
doesn't.
That looks like a CG hat to me.
But like
Either that or they've CG'd the shadows on.
His shirt is such a washed out red, and his pants are such a washed out blue, and it's like they could be brighter. They don't need to be washed
I
out.
really like they actually changed up his outfit a couple of times over the series. It was great.
Yeah.
Like I'm looking at this, and I kind of feel like it is kind of important to bring down the tone of colors and things, because part of the problem with, like, could you imagine how much cooler things like Power Rangers would be if the colors that they used, well, obviously apart from black, were muted a bit more? You could take it as a so much more serious tone. If you take a series like,
but it's not supposed to be serious. Power Rangers isn't supposed to be serious.
No, but that's the point I'm trying to make here. Is the fact that if you were to take a series like SG-1 and then just resaturate all the colors so that there are higher fidelity, right? Everyone couldn't take it more seriously. It would just feel like off and things like that. I can easily imagine, because of the tone that they're trying to set with the serious nature of the character performances and things, it would feel like it's undermining itself with bright reds, bright blues, bright oranges, bright everything, right?
My conversation with Nasuth earlier really actually hit this one, Xeno, because I don't think it's the tone anymore.
What do you mean?
Well, this is the thing.
I don't think they're going for a super serious tone, though.
One of the lines I had, one of the conversations I had with Nasuth earlier was that the outdoor shots looked normal.
No, they don't.
I have been
they don't.
Shush. The outdoor shots where they're sitting on a boat and taking a shot over the ocean look exactly like I remember Cape Town, because that's where they're filming, is Cape Town. The air is that colour, the sky is that colour, the boats are that colour. And I think what they've done is, because they didn't want to post-production all of the scenes, they've just made everything else match that. If you see what I mean.
What's your take on this now?
So they post-produced all the other scenes to make them match the boat scenes.
I think they just lit the sets to make them match the outdoor boat scenes.
No. This is definitely more than just set lighting.
Mm-hmm.
There are filters in play. I mean, look at this. This is definitely a blue filter, along with some blue lighting.
What? No, I'd say this is the only one that's actually lit properly.
It's lit fairly well.
No. I think there's actual proper spotlights in this one. All the other ones just feel fake. Like,
I think this is just it's an actual tent that they've put up and made a set here and lit it.
You know, especially considering how the lights are.
I also disagree that they're going for a really serious tone, given just how Luffy behaves and how Usopp behaves.
No, that's fine.
And
don't get me wrong. This was my speculation, right? You know, remember, I've not seen this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But there
are places where I'm fine with it being kind of bleak, like the shots in the this shot. This is a prime example. Or the ones inside the Marine base. But like there's one that cycles through here where Usopp is talking to the girl, Kaya, and it's also very heavily orange and I will agree with that.
There's
so much just brown and orange and gray, and not a lot of blue and red and green.
Not just that though, but it's also the fact that half the environment isn't lit at all. It just feels like, let's just get a gigantic searchlight and put it out the window and just blast inside. I kind of wish, like, but the one that I was commenting on before, where they're looking down the corridor, like,
yeah, that's fine. That's because they're in the Marine base there. That's fine being kind of sterile and gray.
Yeah, but the volumetric light that's coming in just feels off.
I think,
like, again, is this dust?
It looks fake because I think they've got a spotlight in the in the cupboard with them to try and light them from the back as well.
Yeah.
So that's what's making it look odd, because they've got an internal light and an external light, and it's
I'm just trying to see
giving him weird shadows.
Any of the other shots. We just need any of the other shots. It's just like
nope. It's all boogie.
I say the entire.
No.
I feel like the background of that is CG.
I just remember Luffy calling him Boogie.
Yeah.
And he's like, my name is... Yeah. And then I can't remember his name.
Like this one. This is outdoors. They're in the shade, because you can see a bit of light over me here from daylight that's shining down. So they're filming in the shadow of that wall.
This feels like a set. It
Yeah,
doesn't feel...
I think this is... I don't know if it's an actual set or if it's on location, but it is definitely...
That's Cape Town.
Yeah, but considering like the sheer volume of light that is bouncing off of the floor there, just above Thaylien, right? I would expect to see a lot more reflective light bouncing into the environment, but there's none. It's in perfect shade, right? It is lit so balanced. That screams to me that's a set to mimic Cape Town. Right? This is 100% outdoors. I can tell this is outdoors because of the lighting on the actual clothing. It wraps around really nicely. But that looks to be like a CG background on a blue screen.
Xenogelion now an expert on CGI. Just let that.
No,
get
not
that out
the
there.
slightest. But this is like, again, it's so hard to do based on stills and things like this. But considering how much detail there is on them compared to the actual environment.
I think they've deliberately soft-focused that bit to kind of hide some of the CG on it. Yeah, I'll agree with you. So it's a mixed bag, but overall, I think this is one of the better adaptations we've had of any anime, especially of a series, rather than just being a movie adaptation or something.
I mean, I may not
stop not seeing this focus thing that you spoke about before. I
may not like the look of it, but as long as if the story is accurate, then you're probably right.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
I mean, as you've mentioned, the plot's a bit mid, but One Piece does have a bit of a mid plot, especially when it starts going, because when it starts up, it is just a simple.
So there's nothing wrong with a lighthearted adventure. There really is nothing wrong with that.
This shot actually feels like it's an actual proper set, right?
Yes, it is.
You've got like a proper nice gradient of volumetric lighting going from, it's just basically the particulates that are in the air, just like, how smoky and dusty it gets, right?
Because this is supposed to be a dive bar where the bounties can be made and the Navy can come in at any time.
But so many other scenes, it's just like CG windows, CG wood, CG...
Anyway, this is definitely a set, because they've spread it out and put it into a hacienda they've kind of taken over.
Yeah, I think there are more sets than you realize, No,
I imagine that there's plenty of like post-production, like add-in bits.
Yeah, it's hard to tell with stills, but I think there are a lot of actual sets that they use. Hell, the starter boat that they're on before they get the better one after they meet Usopp, I'm pretty sure that was an actual set, but all the ocean around them was CGI. But the sky was probably CGI too. But the boat itself was actual.
They wouldn't
an actual set.
They wouldn't CG the water. They would only simulate the water as it makes contact with the boat. They wouldn't CG the whole ocean. You could just get
they composited the boat onto the ocean.
Yeah. Like getting a base plate for the ocean is so easy compared.
According to the pre-production things they released, they did film a lot in Cape Town's harbour.
Yeah.
So they made practical things onto actual harbour water, and then walled in sections to make sets.
So yeah, it could have been that too. But yeah. I don't think I have a shot of them in that boat, though.
So I think after talking about the One Piece live-action adaptation, I kind of like to just talk about live-action adaptations in general, if you guys are down to clown.
Sure.
Right? So moving...
And that's a down clown.
Down to clown, yeah.
Right. So my first question to you guys is, why do you think there is this want and desire for live action adaptations as opposed to just having standard 2D animation? I do have an answer for this, but I'd like to give you an opportunity to give yours before I potentially color your opinions.
Okay. Well, mine is I have a older friend that I used to hang out with in our village shop because he was like somebody that came in an awful lot and had a chat, and he put forward a very simple view: is that he just doesn't like animation.
That's what I was thinking too.
Connect with it.
Yeah.
He can't find it as real. It is, no matter how mature the themes, no matter how well done the drawing is, it's just a cartoon to him.
Cartoons are for kids. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, because no matter how mature it is, even if it isn't for kids, and he freely acknowledges that.
But cartoons are for kids.
He can't take it seriously.
Yeah.
Because it's not. No, he admits that cartoons are not just for kids. He actually said he's fine with that being the case, but he can't watch them because he can't take them seriously, even if they're serious.
I was definitely thinking along those lines, but I was also thinking that maybe you have directors who like the animation and want to try and make make it into that solid vision that, see if they can, how much they can stretch the technology to recreate that thing as realistic as possible. Because, a good director wants to challenge themselves.
A good director does, which we're seeing with Alita Battle Angel.
Yeah.
But other adaptations in the past have just been cash grabs into
that is also true. Like this one.
Full Metal Alchemist, Ghost in the Shell, no matter how big a budget
Dragon
it was,
Ball.
it's just a cash grab. Dragon Ball Evolution.
Oh god, we don't have it in the system either, but I brought it up twice now. I should probably get it in the system. Aeon Flux.
Yes.
That one was awful too. Ugh.
So,
although awful in a B-movie way that makes me enjoy it.
So the odd thing is, like, I agree with Thaylien more than you, Nasuth.
I mean, that was my first impression too. Yeah. So
okay, fine. We're all in agreement then. I very much feel like there's this stigma that if it's animated, it's for kids, right? Or
not just for kids, but yeah.
It doesn't feel realistic. I'm like, I mean, and Avengers does. Like, do
you are watching cartoons, you just don't realize it.
Yeah, I mean, like, somehow a regular human being doubles in mass and quadruples in body weight. I'm like, because he gets upset. Like, do you not realize the scientific implications of that? And
I think it's the human connections, where
in what sense?
It's the fact that it looks
some people
like skin.
Cannot understand emotion or the connection that you would have with somebody when it's not an actual person they're looking at. Even
when you
if
just
it's
see
CG.
Drawn lines and bright colors and stuff like that, it's different than when you see something that looks like skin and looks like a human face.
Exactly that. When you've got, say, the Hulk, as you were going, he still has the actor's face on it, and he was the actor right up until that point. No matter how silly the actual content can be broken down to be, they are still actors showing human emotions. So some people may not be able to make an emotional connection to anything that isn't a human in that respect.
It's the same reason that a lot of gamers nut themselves over super realistic graphics, even if the gameplay is mid, because they're like, "Oh my god, it looks so good!" And it's like, but you realize this is even worse than the previous generation that had worse graphics, right? It looks amazing! Oh my god,
I think it's less the gamers these days doing that. I think it's the game devs of the AAA franchises
that is also true.
doing that. Whereas I think most of the gamers would just be happy as long as it ran at 60 frames per second.
I mean, like, I get where you're coming from. I mean, there is some stuff that comes out of the West that friends of mine think were absolutely... Okay, so one of the biggest movies that I shit on non-stop is the first Jurassic World movie. It is just mind-bogglingly stupid as hell, right?
What do you mean? No. Let's not go down that path. Let's.
I feel.
I'm just baiting you.
I give the original Jurassic World movie, the first Jurassic World movie, I give it credit for one of the most over-the-top death scenes of a person.
Which one?
In the entire franchise. The dragged off by a pteranodon and then eaten by a plesiosaur whole. Or whatever it was.
I don't remember when that happened.
No? At the poor assistant, that all her job was to look after the kids.
Oh, God, yes.
And she got grabbed, pecked, partially eaten by a pteranodon, and she got lifted up over the water, and then the big sea beast, or whatever it was,
just swallowed it whole.
Pleurodon, or whatever it is, came out and chomped on the pteranodon, so she was still alive when it went back into the sea.
God.
And I'm like, that's gruesome, and I love it.
But so again, like there are people out there that is like, as long as it looks realistic, they couldn't give a flying fuck about the science.
Exactly, yeah.
And worst of all, logic, right? Loz and I were toying with the idea of actually having a series where we literally rip bad movies to shreds, because we were watching so many movies at the time. And like, one of the stupidest things about Jurassic World is not the fact that the kids managed to find the old site, not the fact that the kids managed to find a Jeep that was still in working condition, not the fact that a 20-year-old battery was still holding charge, not the fact that the kids knew how to drive the Jeep up to
the banner? Was it the banner? Was it the banner?
The banner? What banner?
Wasn't there a banner that like fell down over the dinosaur skeleton?
You know what? I have no idea what the fuck. I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. But I'm still going, right? But they drove the Jeep up to the wall, and like, oh, let us in, and they got let in. But then Chris Pratt. Is it Chris Pratt? Yeah, Chris Pratt and a woman, right, just walk off screen to the right a bit, and they walk onto an open road where there's buggies. What happened to the fucking wall? Is there just this one little segment of wall with a gate in it for no reason? Right? It makes no fucking sense. How the fuck were they able to get inside? They were outside me. And that's
strange.
It
makes
stupid.
about as much sense as the T-Rex paddock having a floor and then not having a floor in the original.
Oh god, yes. No, I like, but
if
even
anything,
though
they're keeping their continuity the same.
But even though in the first Jurassic Park movie there were weird things, like you just said, like there was a floor and then there wasn't a floor, at least
it tried.
At least the people were logical, right?
Yeah.
Even though the world continuously changed shape as to meet the needs of the scene, right? At least the people retain some form of, I can add 2 and 2 together. Why on earth would you just go, hey, we're going to call all our guests back into the main strip of our park. We're not going to actually put them into a bunker that's deep underground or actually just fucking inside the building. We're just going to have you all line up in a row outside. Fucking Christ, that's so stupid.
That's because Michael Crichton can actually write a good book, and they based the first one off of him. His sequel to Jurassic Park was actually vastly different than the movie that they made, and it was actually really good.
I'm not surprised.
But then the moment they started diverging off of that path, it just went right downhill. Right. And it's kept that course.
Right. So I feel that there is this huge burning desire in humanity that if it doesn't look realistic, I can't believe it. Right?
I feel
or if
like
it doesn't look flashy enough, I can't believe it.
I feel like it's also part of the reason that they make books and stuff into movies is because people have a hard time imagining, these characters just based on text descriptions. They want to see them to really experience it,
Yes, absolutely. And of course, when it comes down to it, yes, live action movies can be massive budget now with CGI, but animation is always going to be massive budget regardless of how much CGI they put in.
I mean, like, I'm interested.
Just reminded myself of Fist of the North Star.
Yeah, like I actually wonder what is the.
Are you comfortable there, Nasuth?
No.
Yes.
No.
Very comfortable. Anyway, I do wonder what was
guy's
the
about to get
last
penetrated.
2D. Anyway, what was the last 2D movie that came out of the West? Like 2D properly animated movie that came out of the West.
Just for kids?
No,
or just for anyone?
No. For anyone, right?
That's a really good question.
I'm pretty sure in terms of Disney, it was it The Princess and the Frog? But,
Yes.
As I go try, you talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, Nasuth is trying to
Yeah, let's have a look. So
that's China. United States, Baby Sharks. That's probably
CG.
CG.
Yeah,
Babylon
CG.
5. Batman: The Doom That Came to Gotham.
Oh God, yes. No, I'll tell you what. The DC animated
There have been
movies,
some
the
DC
animated comic
movies,
book-
yeah.
Yes, the DC ones are absolutely on point.
Yeah, they are.
I
don't know why, but all the shit people talk about DC movies in the live action stuff does not apply to their to their 2D animation.
Okay, I want to add a stipulation.
Yeah.
Right? Has to have been in the cinema.
Ah.
I want to add that stipulation.
Because Cartoon Network Studios. I don't know if that went on in movies or in the theater or not.
I mean, we just had the latest Miyazaki movie in Japan.
Yeah.
But, what's happening in the West, and I just feel like nothing.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
No, but okay, it was CG, but it looked like a cartoon. Puss in Boots 2.
Did it? What?
Yeah. See, it was a CG movie.
All right.
But it looked animated for a lot of it. It looks like more like hand animation in many of its scenes because of the actual animation stylings and the other ridiculous things it did. A lot of its characterization, everything. Puss in Boots was a very good movie, the second one. And that one, I watched that in the cinema, and that was actually, for DreamWorks, was really good.
Yeah. I think, while Nasuth eventually gives up on this.
It looks like it's all superhero movies for traditional animation. Which is fine. Yeah. I wish they would release them in theaters, because they are, like Thaylien said, really good. They're probably the best superhero stuff to date. Fuck the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's DC's animated stuff all the way. But yeah, I don't think there's any big name stuff that's come out
in the last forever.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Right, so I feel that.
And if you know something, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, no, totally 100%.
Yeah.
I feel that there's this huge disconnect, right, between Western audiences and the material they're watching versus Eastern audiences and the material they're watching. Like, I feel that the Eastern audiences are there to watch the material and be entertained, whereas the Western audiences are to watch the material and to relate. right? Like, oh yeah, if I had a Legion of Dragons, I would have totally done that thing too. Why? What?
Yeah.
Why? What?
Should you be learning this? Why isn't art there to help you learn a lesson or relate to other people rather than relating it to yourself all the time? Why are we self-obsessed rather than obsessed with others?
Yeah. I think it's that
not obsessed
the vast
with others,
majority
but obsessed with understanding
of the Western world couldn't really even spell vicarious learning.
Yeah.
Let alone experience it. You know, the idea of relating to something even though it's not like you is not a cultural norm for much of the Western world. That's why we've seen the rise of some of the most famous meme culture of the Karen and so on as a thing across. It's just not something. Putting yourself in somebody else's shoes seems to be very difficult for a lot of people. And I think it's because empathy is partially a learned thing. If nobody's teaching it, then...
Especially over here, I don't want to get too political, but especially over here in America where we've got this myth of the American dream. And you have to do anything in order to succeed and get that dream. And that includes stepping on other people sometimes. And so if you develop too much empathy, you have trouble doing that. And so you have to, there's this culture of self-obsession in order to, make sure that you get to the head of the pack. You get to the front, to be the first in line. You are it's about you.
So do you think that this apathetic, standard is what is the barrier to entry with a lot of this stuff? Is that what you're trying to say?
I think there's a bit of that, and there's also a bit of Western art has been a long march towards realism in a lot of ways. You look back at older art and it's very flat, and then they started learning new techniques for shading, and that kind of became the norm. And so you keep building on these things until you get to modern art. And don't get me wrong, there are also people like cubists and whatnot who try to break these patterns, but they're the exception and not the rule.
It's just a different type. It is like, but I get entirely what you're saying here, right? It's like, how do we make it like, again, like I'm a huge fan of the knowledge that I get from watching Corridor Digital talk about like visual effects, artists react and things like that's how I'm able to turn around and just simply say like, no, they wouldn't have CG'd that water. They would have simply just gotten a base plate and put the boat on the base plate.
So
but realism in Japanese art was a much more recent tradition. Like a lot of the art that they still have is So maybe that's part of the difference. I don't know.
I'll put forward a theory. Think about what was on TV when the largest portion of, English-speaking Westerners were growing up. Okay, and while the 80s had a lot of superhero stuff, like He-Man, like Thundercats, like all the rest.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
After that, the massive proportion of the 90s and early 2000s was more stuff like that started from the trends of things like Rocko's Modern Life and went into things like Real Monsters and Rugrats.
Okay, that was just Nickelodeon though. You still had X-Men and Spider-Man and
cartoons. You did.
Godzilla and Rusty and Big Guy and Rusty and
yes. So you had superhero stuff, and then everything else was gross out humor.
May I? So we're having a comparison between what was close to reality as much as possible in terms of a 2D animated series, and then as much as and then stuff that is as surreal as possible. things like Cat Dog, Rocco's Modern Life, Dexter's Laboratory, Cow and Chicken. You know, it's like
Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Difference. You know, like I think we'll all agree right now that even though Rick and Morty is a very modern animation style, it is an extremely surreal animation, right? Whereas Family Guy, again, still fairly modern, that is a very serious style, right?
No, again,
I get what you mean.
The humor in that has gone. Okay,
surreal humor, but realistic style.
Let's put this the other way. Think about it this way: what's the difference between comic books and manga? The biggest one.
Plots, the amount of detail in the characters.
Comic books are all about. Comic books have never been treated as a serious medium for telling everyday stories. In Japan, you can pick up a manga for a slice of life or a drama just as easily as you can pick up a shonen or a seinen or any of those. The genre spectrum is massively diverse because it's a medium for telling stories, not just getting your laughs in or getting the superhero perks.
Just to highlight off of that, I think a lot of what you're referring to is more about investment, right? So, for example, the content creators that the mangaka who do things like My Dress Up Darling or Berserk or Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid or Magical Spec Ops Oscar, you know, just pick fucking anything, right? They try to go and find something that they can create that is enough to be engrossing to an audience.
It's a story.
Yeah, whereas with the Western side of things, they'll try, like, you know, because it's a business, right? It's like, you know, you've got very few major comic labels in the West. They'll try like the odd thing, do it for a few issues. Oh, it's not good enough, kill it. Just flat out kill it. It's not making gangbusters, just fucking kill it, right?
Yeah, it's a capitalistic view of that, but at the same time, they are primarily done for escapism.
Yeah.
So
they group. They're very similar. We don't really do serialized stories. Stories are written in books. Serialized stuff is cliffhangery and actiony and that sort of thing.
Or telenovela-y.
Yeah. Whereas books tell a complete story and take years to come out.
Yes. Comics don't. Comics are serialized and therefore have to be serialized content in the Western eye. So
Which is very shallow.
Translating to
sorry,
the animation.
Can I jump in?
Yes.
Right. I want to argue the toss on that. That's a very recent thing. Look at the comics of Cable and Deadpool, right? Cable and Deadpool went on for fucking years and years and years and was a proper series that was entertaining and everything, that you didn't have this need to self-insert, but it went on for years. Now it's a case of
escapism. It's a superhero or anti-hero story in the Marvel universe. It's escapism.
Right, but it still has the same vein of entertainment as stuff from the East.
No,
whereas
you're missing I would say that thing of.
I would also say that Xena's example is more of the exception rather than the rule. You do occasionally get stuff like that, where they do try to tell a story in comics. But generally speaking, like 90% of the content is just serialized escapism.
No, but I feel that that's just a case of, like, you know, that's a more modern approach to comics. That's like,
when
you know,
the original comic book was
go look back at the Golden Age and
Superman, the original, was escapism. It's a guy an alien that came to Earth and wanted to be normal, so he picked up a normal everyman persona and went around
punching Nazis and stuff. You know,
yes, it's exactly that. From the outset, comic books in the West were treated for escapism. They often, while they often sold to a younger audience, the more mature ones were even more advanced escapism. More along the lines of something like Chainsaw Man.
Batman solved detectives, but they were always very quick and easy. Solved mysteries, but they were always very quick and easy mysteries. That he would solve in a couple issues, maybe.
I feel like, not to this extent. I feel like we're butting heads here. I want to confirm some stuff with you, right? Okay. So for me, right, a lot of the more modern Western material is about self-insert stories, right?
Yes.
Whereas the characters are like, they are wafer thin, they have no depth to them. Literally, you could replace Captain America with the Hulk, with Iron Man, with Jessica Jones, with absolutely any of the characters. They have no depth to them in the storytelling, right?
Not in the movies, no.
Huh?
In the movies, no, I absolutely agree.
No, in the comics.
No, even in a lot of the modern comics. So if you want to look for if you want the most depth in characters, you want the Silver Age, as I understand it.
Let him finish. Right. Let him finish.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I feel with older comics, right? Like, as I was saying with Cable and Deadpool, right? You couldn't self-insert. Cable was his own character. Deadpool was his own character. Yes, it was still escapism because you were still being entertained and, you're leaving the worries of the world behind, but this wasn't a story that you could see yourself in. This was just a story that you are witnessing.
You're
right?
Witnessing, you're learning. Okay.
Yeah, just like in Demon Slayer, just like in... yeah.
Okay, I think the point we're trying to make of this, Xeno, is that from the outset, Western comics have either been the wafer thin, you can put yourself in there, and you would react exactly the same way to these circumstances because they've got no personality.
If I were Superman, I'd go around punching Nazis too.
Character. Yeah, right. They're a viewer insert character, and so have to be wafer thin for that.
Yeah.
Or they're pure escapism, where you're witnessing something that's so outlandish that it's entertaining because it's so far from the norm. It's the emotional investment that you can get from doing all the other genres that comes up in manga. That because you are seeing all these different perspectives, all these different storylines, all these different genres, whether that's pure escapism, whether that's superhero stuff, whether that's drama, whether that's slice of life, okay? They've had that emotional diversity there, so it's easier for them to relate to characters that are not like themselves. So in looping this back into the animated movies and things, and the movies from West and East, is you're getting more engagement with movies that are more emotional and in animation, because the general audience therefore is more used to empathically connecting to other things, to people in situations that are not like themselves. And you're not getting it in the West because they're not used to that. They can't really. They've been raised to not have that more open empathic connection. It's thinking it all back to the original points we were making on this. I think it's that personal investment and being able to learn vicariously comes from your ability to empathize with people that are not like you. So I think that's basically in what the Eastern culture has been raised with, that the Western culture has not. And so that's where we're seeing that difference in investment in animation versus live action.
So do we think that with stuff like the One Piece live action adaptation, that it's even possible for a Western audience to even appreciate it?
Well, obviously,
I think that's specifically why
any
it's
audience, any audience that can appreciate anime will probably be able to appreciate it, and it will also appeal to a wider Western audience because it's live action.
Yes, that's the drive to live action that you were talking about. That's your original question. The drive. Where is the drive to live action coming from? It's because it's very difficult for a larger majority of the audience to not be able to relate to animation the way they can to a human.
But I'm
any
wondering,
human actor.
But I'm wondering if, because of recent material driving an empathetic response from people, and the fact that very much in the West we are effective. I don't want to say brainwashing, but we're subconsciously inspiring people.
Biasing.
We're biasing people to have a more apathetic response. Would we potentially see that no matter what live-action anime adaptation we have, because we're trying to inspire an empathetic response, we're just going to get people not liking it? It's like, I don't want to feel empathy towards this thing.
Now, I would say picking Luffy is actually perfect for this because he is a shonen protagonist who has very simple objectives that people can sort of see themselves in. He wants to have fun. He wants friends. He wants to have an adventure. You know, people can identify with this character. So they've sort of hit, but he also has that empathetic side. Where he doesn't want to see other people suffer.
Genuinely
so
cares for his crew.
They can kind of sneak that in as well and piggyback that onto this empathetic character. So they can hit everything all at once.
I think the real key is this switch to live action. In that it doesn't matter what the content is, just the baseline shift to live action brings in a broader audience from the West because of that disconnect.
Because obviously there are still empathetic people, you know.
Yes. Putting that live action in effectively will appeal now to the people that can't empathize with cartoons, with animation.
Yeah.
So it just opens it up to more people, right? Even if those people don't like it, they are immediately 100% more likely to watch it because they will now give it a chance where they 100% wouldn't have before.
See, the weird thing for me is the fact that I watch a load of live action stuff where they rely so heavily on CG to make characters look good and things like, and like let's take a look at live action Alphonse Elric, who looks absolutely atrocious. So atrocious that it's self-deleted from our system, right? Let's pretend that was a thing. But it looks extremely bad, right? But it feels like
it looks like they took Alphonse's super deformed image and used that as a basis rather than
I mean, like it to me, it feels like what is the where people have this block that they can't enjoy animated stuff. I have a block of why can't you enjoy this animated stuff, right? And it feels very much like, I love the most recent Dune movie, and I can't wait for the sequel parts. 100% I want to see the sequel parts.
Yeah.
Right? And I love the things like the ornithopters, so on and so forth. But at the same time, I would never in a million years ever want to see a live-action Rick and Morty. Right? I think
I kind of would, just because I bet it would be super cringe. But I'd only want to see like one episode. But see, there was a live action Tick that was made by. They made like one episode on Amazon.
No. They made two seasons.
Did they made okay? And I see,
or rather, two halves.
I actually thought that was pretty well done. But. I mean, obviously, I prefer the animated one because it's sillier. But I thought they did a pretty decent job with it. The characters felt right. It looked okay. I didn't, but I think there's room for both of those. Unfortunately,
See, the problem for me is it didn't feel like it looked okay, right? Because of how ridiculous the Tick looks, right? in the animated format or the comic format and things like how ludicrous he looks. But no one in real life looks like that. And unless they have a CG character the entire time, it's gonna look super bad. No one has a chin the size that fucking the Tick does, right? You know, guy has a tumor.
I take that statement and I raise you Bruce Campbell.
No, Bruce Campbell does not have the chin.
Yes, he does.
Necessary to play the Tick. No, he doesn't. Right?
He doesn't have, not anymore. Now that he's old, but he's got too much jowl. But back in his prime, I
want to pivot this a little bit into something that we don't usually do.
Go on.
Okay. Sin City. The comic adaptation, the movie adaptation of Sin City.
See, I never read the comics. So I don't know. Visually flawless.
Because they used effects and people who looked exactly like the characters. Even if the character had that ridiculous square jaw manliness, an actor turned up that looked just like him. You know? And Sin City's not a a very complex comic or series of comics, but the tales from Sin City are just generally just, you know, grimdark stuff where everybody ends up dead on the stage eventually.
Also, prosthetics exist.
Yes, but the way they did that was, to me, as far as an adaptation went, better as a movie than even Alita was from the comics there, from the manga there, and better definitely than the One Piece one. Okay. So it is possible to make films. Yes, it did rely heavily on the CG. It did rely heavily on even animation specifically, where they CG'd in animated backgrounds to make it look like the scenes from the comics. But because they did the work and made it so much like the source material, people had this weird reaction, this Marmite reaction to it. Either they loved it or hated it. For some, it was either too cartoony, too comic booky, and they couldn't relate at all. Or for others, it was just enough human that it suddenly gave a massive boom to the sales of the original comics. So when you say, why can't people relate to anything that's not humans, and why can't they relate to the animation? It's genuinely just the perspective, and some people can't change theirs.
It's the same way that
and yet we're awesome too.
Bad science now takes me out of a story because I'm just, well, that's because I'm just too exposed to it. But the same way I can't turn that part of my brain off, some people may not be able to turn the part of their brain off that says, well, this is a drawing, this is not real, therefore I don't have, you know, and that's fine. I do kind of wish people would understand that more, that drawings aren't real, but at the same time, I get that they can't turn that part of their brain off. They can't relate to it because it doesn't look real. They're wrong, but
yeah, I mean,
like how do you read a book? How do you read something and not empathize? How do you you should be able to use that imaginative part of your brain, but it's hard not to. At least with science, it's like there's like something like something real there to point at and say they got this wrong. You know,
I think one of the big things is that when it comes to animation, right, you can make it so that characters look in a multitude of different ways, whether or not they are anthropomorphized animals, or whether or not they're what's called dragons, you know, guys in suits, whatever. You know, there's so much freedom in creativity and things, you don't have to worry about it. Things like, I've heard people like argue the toss about how, Star Trek versus Star Wars, because in Star Wars, where are the engines? The engines just don't seem to exist.
Where
right?
the engine's powered by.
But in Star Trek, they put that level of care and thought, and it's just a case of like, why is it a fucking us versus them situation? I think maybe I'm going down that route now, is like, why, when it comes to the West, is it an us versus them situation, regardless of what the hell you're watching, right? Game of Thrones, Rick and Morty, you name it, right? Whereas in the East, it's like I either like it or I don't like it. It's a personal.
Yeah, I don't think it's an us versus them. I think it's a proportional representation. The same people that can't relate to animation exist in the East. They're just lower proportionally than they are in the West. And I think that's
Sorry, say that again?
The same people that can't relate to something that is animated exist in both halves.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
It's just there's more of them in the West. The proportion is different
because of the culture.
Yeah.
Because of the things we've grown up with, because of the things that we've seen. I don't think that
I would say that's probably also changing given how long Adult Swim has been a thing.
Yes.
You've got Invincible, which a lot of Joey just found out about Invincible, and he's like, "Why has nobody told me about this?" Because
I fucking told him. It's
you've got, so on the one hand, on Amazon you've got The Boys, which is live action dark superhero stuff, and then you've got Invincible, which is animated dark superhero stuff. And I think a lot of people have actually enjoyed Invincible, which is part of why it's getting season 2. So I think there is a growing population of people who can see animated stuff and be like, this is actually a good story. It's just that before it's mostly been used. Yeah. Before it's mostly been used for stuff like the DC comic stuff or very, very, very esoteric, squashy, stretchy animation, not stuff that's made to look realistic or semi-realistic.
Yeah.
And so I think you are kind of seeing that changing.
Do you know what I think is going to herald a massive boom of better live action adaptations?
Mm-hmm.
All the boomers dying off.
But also I can see people looking at anime that's because even in a lot of realistic anime, the girls tend to have bigger eyes, for instance. Not always, but generally. And I can see that taking somebody out. I can see them looking at that and being like, "Where the fuck is their nose? What the fuck is with these eyes?" And so I can see people having that struggle versus a live action version where the people look like people.
That anime girls are cats.
Obviously.
I mean, one thing that I'm thinking now is like, can you just imagine if we've got aliens come to Earth and they land in America? It's just like, no, I can't relate to you. Fuck off. Just fuck off. I don't know what you get out. It's like, but we're here to give you the cure to cancer. No, fuck off. I don't know what you want. Fuck off. You're fucking weird and strange. I don't want to look at you.
That does sound like America.
Aren't there like 40 movies like that already?
Yeah.
Probably.
Isn't District 9 kind of about that?
No, it's not. District 9 is where the aliens that arrive are literally, they're like the remnants of a slave race that hasn't had that has been programmed to be.
Yeah, but there's still people are still kind of like,
they don't have any of their
gross.
masters yet. Well, they are fairly gross.
Oh yeah. No, humanity is definitely like that, and they have like segregated cities and or districts. And I get what that's. But it's. You see, you think that like if all the generations like just die off and things, that I don't think that's true.
I don't think that's true.
I think the part of the problem.
No, is, I just meant it as a thing that we will lose more of the directors that are cash grab directors, and we'll get more of the people, more chance of people.
That's not true.
That have
no. We'll just get new cash grab directors.
We will, but I think there's more chance that the directors that we get will possibly have grown up with more than just the capitalist view of it. They'll have. I think as the saturation improves across the generational gap, then we will get more chance of directors going for live actions of things.
You need to worry about
kids.
You need to worry about producers more than directors. But I kind of get where you're coming from.
I think one of the problems though is the fact that we don't seem to be starting small. We always seem to be starting massive, right? It's a case of let's get Cowboy Bebop and make that a live action adaptation. Like, really? Like. Let's get One Piece, right? Like, hold on. And then you got Japan that's like, let's do My Home Hero. That makes sense. That one works. You can just do the whole thing with practical effects. You don't need any special effects at all. Right?
Yeah, but Japan also did. Japan also did this one, which turned out terrible. Yeah, which turned out terrible.
Yeah, but I think Warner Brothers had a huge hand in that, and then Warner Brothers.
You're right. You're absolutely right, Zeno, on this one. They're starting. They're still getting this cash grab nature of getting the big name and trying to cash in on the big name by doing a live action.
Yep.
Whereas they really should be just trying to up the saturation level of good adaptations, where they can say, "Oh, did you know this is actually an adaptation of an animation?"
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't even matter if it's an anime or not. If it's a good series in the first place, if it can be done on a normal TV series budget and can be done, without, massively breaking the bank, it's just, it's an adaptation of an animation. You've not heard of it.
So what you're saying is it's time for a Berserk animation, a live action.
Damn it, Nasuth, stop stealing my brain. I had that brain. That was my brain cell. I had that thought.
No, I'm not saying that at all.
No, honestly, I think a Berserk series could work. Don't do it exactly one for one of the manga, because I literally started that yesterday, and I think you need to start it very close to how the anime does it, where you maybe have that one demon fight, and then it's just like, Game of Thrones it up, just practical effects, the vast majority of it, right? Yeah. Low budget the fucking thing. When you come across, I can't remember the name of that fucking demon, but when you come across that demon, right?
Zod?
Yeah, I think it was Zod, yeah. You could just okay, there's some of your VFX budget. The rest of it, just fucking CG the fuck out of it.
Well, right?
Not CG, practical effects.
In the CGI episode of Notice Me Senpai that went live last week, I actually included a scene from the Golden Age arc movies, and that's exactly what they did for Zod. During the initial fight, it was all normal animation, and then he switches to his demon form, and then it switches to CGI for him because it was easier for them to do. And it made a little more sense to have the demon form be CGI. And exactly. Just do that in a live action version. You're fine. Yeah.
Exactly. We need to up the saturation level of shows that are good for live action in the first place. And that way,
here's something.
But we could also start smaller than Berserk, because Berserk is really huge. But I do think it would work really well.
I think it would work as well. Maybe Mushoku Tensei. Maybe I'd have to properly think it through, right? But again, look at I had another.
Heck, even Shield Hero.
Maybe Shield Hero. I'm thinking of Philo.
Yeah.
Philo. I wouldn't want to see a CG Philo the entire time.
I think they'd do something well with Outer Star.
Sure.
Because it's all sets in space.
That is true.
You've got space stations where you've got, you can just make dirty sets.
Yeah, just film it in a
thing, the same way that you've got
water treatment plant or something. Yeah,
space things.
Like they did all the Star Trek, the 2009 remake. The entire engineering section was filmed in like a water treatment plant or something, or a Thaylien filtering plant. I don't know what it was, but that's why it's all full of tanks and ducts and pipes and stuff.
Yeah.
And just do that. It's fine.
Yeah. Exactly. Just make practical effects for everything you possibly can, and some of these would really work.
Yeah, I think they're just biting off more than they can chew. I have no idea if the One Piece.
It's real.
It is real.
I have no idea if the One Piece series is actually going to get a second season.
Jinro would make a really good live action. So now I'm just looking at stuff that would make a really good live action.
But we are closing in on a bit of time. Do we want to just rip the shit out of Dragon Ball Evolution?
Right.
I mean, come on.
I don't know what the fuck they were thinking with Dragon Ball Evolution. I genuinely don't.
Yeah.
I did. Oh, there it is. Right.
What is with him? What is with him that is not in any way Goku?
I think actually I think this is one big thing when it comes to America, is the fact that they really try to modify things to tailor to
an American audience.
The audience, and it's a case of that's not who this character's designed to be, right? It's I always keep going back to the whole idea. What?
Grave of the Fireflies would make an insanely good live action.
Yeah, any of the like the wartime.
Yeah,
I thought we were ripping the shit out of Dragon.
Yeah, sorry. I'm done looking at shows.
At what point did they think that the character of Goku, an orphan raised by his grandfather in the woods and taught martial arts only, who had no interaction with everybody else, at what point was making him a dorky teenager in high school a good idea?
The only way I can watch this movie, there's a if you've ever watched MST3K, there's a group, the same group made a new thing called Riff Tracks. And they opened it up to people to make their own. And Team 4-Star actually made a riff for this movie. It is the only way I can watch it now. It's so bad. It's so terrible.
At what point did they think that calling the Kamehameha airbending was a good fucking idea?
Oh, Chi-Chi is just. Why is she a punk teenage girl? Why is that Piccolo?
Why is Piccolo like that?
Why is that Piccolo?
Why did they even have to change the idea of what the Uzaru was?
Yeah.
Why did Chi-Chi go off to fucking martial arts band camp?
I think this is a really big hindrance, is the fact that they buy an IP, right, and then they change it so heavily so that the the audience will actually appreciate it. It's not the original IP anymore, right?
Yeah. So none of the original fans will enjoy it.
Yeah. So the original fans won't enjoy it. The likelihood of new fans enjoying it is minimal at best.
And the likelihood of old fans enjoying it is absolutely zero. Where the f*** was Krillin?
Yeah.
Why wasn't Roshi a pervert? I mean, I guess he was a little tiny bit of one, but not like a turbo pervert.
I feel
Where was his tropical island?
Yeah.
I feel that they set it in the wrong time. They shouldn't have based it off the start of Dragon Ball when Goku's like a teenager already.
Yeah, they should have been.
They should have made him adult Goku and respected skip Dragon Ball.
They should have done the Saiyan arc.
Yeah.
No. There's a perfect time for this. There is a time skip between the end, before the final part of the original Dragon Ball, where Goku ages up to actually be this age before Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah,
right.
And he's in a tournament with Piccolo,
a tournament
isn't he?
arc.
Yeah,
he's in a tournament with Piccolo Jr., the one we know as Piccolo from Z, and it's where Chi-Chi actually tracks him down to marry her.
Yeah, that would work.
So
Make him marry her.
Tracks Goku down to marry her.
Okay.
Yeah, so that having a series of the build up to, and then that tournament would have been a good Dragon Ball movie. Because there's actually a time skip there where you could have put any adventure you like in between those 2 points. Right? And then, done flashbacks to show, to the original parts to show, him meeting Chi-Chi for the first time or him meeting Bulma for the first time. They could have gone on a completely original adventure with teen Goku and teen everyone else.
And look at that Dragon Ball. Just look at it.
They might even have put him into school for a second or two, just to see how Goku actually interacts with teenagers in his own, in his own environment, in his own way. That could have been funny.
I know. I just feel like they shouldn't have just diverted
he's not
so heavily
looking at it.
from. I just don't feel they should have diverted so heavily from the source material.
No, they should.
They wanted to make it modernized and American, and it just did not work.
But you see that with so many things. Like if you've ever watched La Femme Nikita, right?
Yeah, I tried not to.
The French film. What, the French film?
No, the TV series.
Oh no! So there's a French film called La Femme Nikita. It's a Luc Besson movie, right? Yeah. It is actually very good. And then they did a American adaptation.
A terrible TV series,
No, the American movie adaptation, which I think was called Assassin.
No, I think it was just called Nikita.
No, it wasn't. It was called. There was a TV series called Nikita, right? But the movie, the American movie, had, I think it was Bridget Fonda in it, and they changed the plot halfway through.
No, there is in fact a movie of it. It was not La Femme Nikita.
There's the TV series.
No.
Point of No Return, also known as The Assassin, is a 1993 American action film directed by John Badham, starring Bridget Fonda. Is a remake. It's a remake of the 1990 film La Femme Nikita.
La Femme Nikita.
Okay.
Yes.
I see. I thought you was just saying they changed the title. I see.
No, it's a remake of it.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's a remake of it. And they just changed the plot halfway through.
Jeez.
And so, it doesn't fucking work anymore. I was like, we think this will work better with American audiences.
Yeah. And then the film doesn't work as an overall thing.
Yeah.
Right. This is the real dark side of live action adaptations. And adaptations in general.
On the other hand, they brought over Rec and did that basically as a shot-for-shot remake, so they can do it right.
Yes.
They just choose not to.
They just choose not to.
So, I mean, this is the thing that I think that when they bought Dragon Ball as an IP to make Dragon Ball Evolution, somebody else had already written a script for another movie.
Oh,
and that's what it is. I think
that
somebody had already written a martial arts hero movie, some adventure movie that they'd done, and so they bought Dragon Ball, and so somebody turned around to that writer and says, "Look, we will buy your script, but you have to rewrite it to be Dragon Ball."
Oh.
And that poor writer has had no idea and had to rewrite the script, and
probably never watched Dragon Ball a day in their life.
That would explain why the hero was actually the villain's minion and had to break free of him, or that would explain why the setting was so vastly different, even though some of the story plot points were the same.
On a bit of a tangent, I'm actually thinking to myself, I think Trigun could work quite well as a
I've been staring at that
adaptation. Yeah, I've been staring at that.
You said that in the prep, and I held back a comment, and I just thought, Nasuth, you didn't like it when they did a remake, let alone
that's true.
What they do to a live action.
We're talking about the original.
But if they actually adapted the original plot properly,
from the manga, no less.
Well, the manga and the original series are a bit different, but
from the manga, no less.
Sure. Then I'd be down for it. My problem with the CGI remake was that it diverted too far.
Okay.
Right.
So what
and
happens?
It also looked kind of
they
gross.
don't. What happens if they do divert just that little bit too far from the live action? Then you'd just be disappointed.
I'd probably be disappointed too. Yeah, but if they try and actually try, I'd at least give it a try. Same thing with an Akira movie, right? If they tried to make an Akira movie and they actually did it well, then sure. But if they just lazily adapt it like they did Dragon Ball Evolution, then fuck them.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. So we have ripped that.
Are we done?
Tino, what's your? Do you want to pivot or do you want to move on?
No, I think we should wrap it up.
You don't want to talk about Guyver Dark Hero? I think that's a no.
No, like I think a large part of the problem is when it comes to any of this stuff is it's just respect for the source material.
Yeah, it's the same with the Alita, manga adaptations or manga to anime adaptations. Exactly. It's all about how you. Yeah.
2 weeks ago.
I think Alita is by far the best anime adaptation, live action adaptation out there.
Because you can tell that they actually cared about the source material.
Well, better yet, they actually fucking read it.
Yes. That's what I mean. They cared about it by the fact that this is a movie that dear old whatever his name is wanted to make, and they got him to make Avatar first.
Oh, Cameron, yeah.
Yes, Cameron. Cameron wanted to make this movie a decade ago, and they made him.
Oh no! He bought the license for it back in the 90s.
Yes, but, he wanted to make a movie like fairly more recently than that.
Possibly. Yes, talking about respect for the source material and having obviously read it, one of the things that One Piece did have going for it is that Oda was heavily involved.
Yes.
And specifically said he would not let it be made unless it was made to his standards. And I think there was one thing that he pushed back on, and they finally convinced him to let it go. But that's like the only real change they made.
Yeah. And it was probably... I
don't remember what it was now.
Great scene of him on Twitter, and they did a behind-the-scenes look, and the actor who plays Luffy said, "It was great meeting Oda because he just came
Oda
in,
treated him like
and then
so
they cut to the scene, and they just said, 'You are Luffy. You are the person I want to play Luffy. I won't take anybody else. You are him.'"
Yeah,
and I'm like, wow, that's really wholesome.
So I think that helps a lot too, is making sure that the original creator,
is
at least involved, and so they can say, hey, this is a respectful change, this is a disrespectful change, please do not do this.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same with Cowboy Bebop. The original author was not involved in the slightest.
Yep.
And the
Dragon Ball Evolution.
M. Night Shyamalan adaptation
of
does
Avatar.
not get named very often.
Yeah.
Right, I think it is time to call it. I think it's time to move on.
All right.
I think I prefer them staying 2D animation or even CG. I'd rather have CG stuff than live action, because live action just feels off on a multitude of different reasons. Mostly because I think
uncanny.
A lot. That said, it is. It's very uncanny.
But I mean, again, it can be done well with like Erased or I think the live action of My Home Hero will be good. I think a lot of it depends on the tone that's set by the anime.
But regardless of that, like, a lot of this stuff is designed to work on a surreal medium.
Yes.
Like big eyes, small noses, so on and so forth. So for it to be like, I know I can only imagine the complaints about Usopp's nose not being as long as it is, right?
Or Sanji's eyebrows, or is it Sanji? Whichever one has the curly eyebrows.
But the whole point is that I can imagine people are going to complain about this sort of stuff, and it's just like, well, you know. Anyway, right, let us move on to where the supporter questions. Supporter question. Uh-oh, did I just do the thing on my... Oh, no, I did the thing on my computer. I need to turn that off. It's the thing where you shake it a window too much, and then all your windows just collapse.
Oh, yeah, that one.
God, I hate this damn thing. It's like the most...
Windows Y. Windows Y.
Yeah, who thought that was a smart idea? No one. No one thought it was a smart idea, Microsoft. Right, okay, I have to open them. Right, okay, right, here we go. Right, so...
Especially when there's like
questions.
There's a button to shrink all your windows, too, on the taskbar.
I know!
Like why do you need both?
Anyway, so Zrugel says, before we start the supporter questions, I have a small PSA for everyone. So anyone who has or will submit viewer memes. We don't care if we've seen them before, only that you think that they're funny when you upload them, and thank you. Right?
Indeed.
Zugel also says, Zrugel asks, what kind of fictional anime would you like to see in the next season?
Ooh.
What kind?
What kind of anime?
I want to see a
sci-fi.
A Three Kingdoms.
Mecha, just mecha. Sorry.
I want to see a Bakumatsu period story set in space.
Oh my fucking god! You and your fucking feudal Japan.
I said that specifically because of you.
Oh my god!
I'd like to see a sci-fi fantasy, a science fantasy story akin to the way they handled Star Wars, where we actually get, a loose space kind of opera thing.
Yeah,
and it's more concerned with the actual adventure than anything else. That's what I'd like.
Lord Nasuth. Sorry, so level 1 Nasuth Lord.
Lord Nasuth. Sorry.
Who is more masterful, Yukichi or my orange cat who just lays around all day begging for attention? Yukichi, because
Yukichi,
makes lunch and things, and I'm hungry.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's masterful. He's not lazy. He's not being a cat. He's being masterful.
It's just depressed a bit, right? Level 1 Nasuth Lord. Regardless of the above answer, would you watch an anime about my cat? What are these questions? Yes.
What? Yes, good. Excellent.
I'd say maybe, because there's lots of cat content, and I wouldn't want to see the orange cat content that anime could do to him.
All right, I'm just feeling... I'm feeling that this is like that character, the old woman from Futurama. It's like, I want everyone to come over to my house and, see my cats.
Yes. There you go.
Yeah. Right. So, going on to the comments. First, from the news, Zrugel says, those mech war mechs look pretty hilarious.
Burgerbot for the win. Burgerbot for the win.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, with the human-legged ones, or the choo-choo-choo, which was just 3 trains with a cannon on top.
Yep.
So good.
All right. Sorry to hear about Sinoalis. Fable 3 was on Games for Windows Live, and when that went down, online access in that game just died. Yep.
Sad days.
Games as a service is a dangerous thing, right? And now we've got the comments from last week's cast episode. There's one missing here, Nasuth.
Is there?
Yeah, there was a comment from... I'm just going to go straight to it.
Okay, it must not have been there when I... Yeah, it must not have been there when I was getting these... or maybe YouTube suppressed it because you know how it does that.
No, you lie. Right, so Strongest Shell says, Kanpai, be honest with you, be honest, you guys, just use this show to talk about sensitive topics.
I wish.
I'm surprised you guys not only discussed topics but went through the many counter arguments. Glad you started talking about anime though, haha. I kind of realized maybe we should have started with the anime before we started talking about the whole thing, which is why I
put timestamps in so you guys can actually skip if you don't like.
Yeah, and this is why I was like, maybe we should do the One Piece part first.
We're happy for you guys to do to get the abridged version of the show if that helps you watch the rest of it.
Thaylien now says, have you heard about cow farts? Nasuth replied with, hello mama, have you heard about our Lord and Savior cow?
Ma'am.
Mama? Have you heard about...
M-A-A-M, ma'am, madam.
I'm reading it how I want it to be read.
You are reading it Xeno style, which is just wrong.
Hello mama, have you heard about our Lord and Savior cow farts?
Have you heard about them
Shut
farting
up.
so
Would
loudly?
you be... Oh my god. Would be a very interesting twist on...
Proselytizing.
Never heard... Okay, fine.
That's the thing of
No.
Excuse me, ma'am. Yeah. Have you found our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ yet?
Yeah. No, I get it.
He's hiding behind your curtains. Go look for him.
Right. So Zrul says, Kanpai, congrats on 100 episodes.
Thank you.
For cutting edge sciencey stuff, I like the channel. Undecided with Matt Farrell. I think that's supposed to be Farrell.
Farrell.
But that's a whole channel, so you'd have to search for a topic that you want to know more about. Lol.
Check it out.
Thalien's grandma watching cat videos ticked me?
Tickled.
I think it's supposed to be tickled.
Right, okay.
But thanks, Rugal. I miss her a lot.
That's way more space junk than I expected. I
Wasn't
didn't
it?
like... Yeah, it's just
To be fair, the
massive.
sizes were exaggerated because they were just markers. But still, lot of junk.
Right? I didn't like Parasite. The ending felt really rushed, and I felt like the moral message was shoehorned into the end. Humans were the real monsters all along, up until the second to last episode. It was, to me, a fight for the survival of the human race. Yep. Right.
Haven't watched it,
so that is it. Yep, so that is it for the memes.
The memes?
Sorry, not for the memes.
No,
for
we're
the
getting
comments.
into the memes.
Now it's time for the memes.
Now time for the memes.
You can find the memes on twitter.com/Kanpai_cast, tumblr.com/Kanpai Cast. That is one word, isn't it, Nasuth?
Oh shoot! Did I set it up with one word? Oh no!
An underscore.
I'm very sure it's one word. No, that's fine. And as well as on the Discord, which you can find a link in the description below.
And Blue Sky.
So
And
all these
when we
memes.
get it going, and more of you are on there, we'll even be on Blue Sky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I did ask for an account made, but I don't know if that ever account got made. So
I think it did. I'm pretty sure it did. Yeah, it did. It definitely did. Anyway, we have 6 viewer memes this week.
We've got the memes hooked up. We've got so many viewer memes. You guys have been perfectly productive. Thank you so much for all your contributions.
I'll take the first 2. Xeno can have the second 2, and Thaylien can have the third 2.
okay.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. You're gay because you like men. I am gay because I hate women. We are not the same. Yaoi versus Shonen. Yaoi versus Shonen.
Oh my
And the bottom one, which
Yes,
is why
how
would
dare you say something so brave and so so controversial yet so brave?
Controversial.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yaoi versus Shonen. Forbidden Love in Shinkai Films. 2007 Distance. 2013 Age. 2016 Time. 2019 Nature. 2022 Dimension?
It's with the door.
Okay.
Crikey.
Alright, so Xeno, you get these 2.
Yeah. My anime watch list. Anime that I've watched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get the feeling that Xenos is a bigger chunk that he's watched, but it's still...
Oh, it's a significantly bigger chunk. But it's getting worse because of the whole thing.
Guys gonna fight me?
Oh god.
I'll have you know, I'm the strongest character in fiction. No one can ever defeat me with my Go Gadget Murder Goku.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I didn't realize that was a video.
Wow.
Well, we found one person that can beat Goku.
Wow. Next.
Well, him and the mask. It's just anime. They'll get over it. Me and my boys.
Oh God.
As it should.
Man-child no jutsu.
Anime titles then: Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, Bleach, Full Metal Alchemist. Anime titles now: That Time I Got Rejected by My Refrigerator, Then My Ugly Dog Ate My Homework and I Was Sent to a Strange World as a Pair of My Little Sister's Panties.
Apparently there was also a 7th, but we couldn't fit it in this week, so hopefully we'll be able to get it in next week.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Oh well.
Right.
So, this is on to...
My cousin, me watching anime. Is this hentai?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Hey Dad, look under there. Underwear. Ah, I made you say underwear.
I don't know why that makes me laugh so much.
He's just getting milk. He's just getting milk.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tensei Shitara Slime Deta Ken. That time I got reincarnated as a slime. TTIGRAAS or Titty Grass.
Oh my
Titty
God.
Grass.
God. Is this supposed to have sound?
No. There you go. There you go. Say ah.
Yep.
Say ah.
It's feeding cute anime girls things.
Insomnia, and then so you got Insomnia blocking you on one side, and then cringe memories and existential questions on the others, and then just explosion. Yeah.
An explosion in the distance.
Wow.
And my last one.
When you insert
my God.
And when you pull the trigger, the shoot is gonna go. And wait till you hear what it sounds like when you flick it into full fun mode.
Oh my God, that's fucking hilarious. I also love the fact that it's bright pink as well.
Of course.
You ever heard? You've heard the phrase. I'm fairly sure you've heard the philosophy. Whatever World War III is fought with, World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones.
Yeah.
And that's because this is what we're going to fight World War III with.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
All right, Thaylien, here we go.
My window cracked, so I fix it the only way I know how.
Nice.
So, none of you like women? Actually, I do. Shut up, Jolene.
Oh God.
Oh my God.
Oh no, not this one. That has been making the rounds on so many different types of shows and movies.
Really has. Yep.
You watched One Piece live action. I watched One Piece downloaded and converted from MKV to MP4 via handbrake on my 1.5 times speed on my 2021 MacBook Pro 15-inch while stuffing my face. We are not the same.
Oh gosh, and then you got 2 more video memes. All right.
ちょっと待て、なんで俺を見てそんなに驚くんだ？まるでお化けにでも金やチヤホヤされるために漫画を描いてると思っていたのか？なんだこの今！Oh no！ あのイタコ、真顔であんなセリフを喋ったぜ！ガタガタ浮くぜ、バカ野郎！もう一度言うぜ。てめえは鳩にさえ勝てねえのさ。次にお前は逃げるんだよという。このさ。
My God.
二度と地球へは戻れなかった。鉱物と生物の中間の生命体となり、永遠に宇宙空間をさまようのだ。そして死にたいと思っても死ねないので、 そのうち後部は考えるのをやめた。
Oh my god.
You have no idea what you just watched.
I believe that word that he was trying to say is lively, and he wanted her to say was lively. But I can't remember for sure. I've been doing Japanese lessons, and I know that lively has come up, but I can't remember if that's exactly what it was. Anyway.
おはよう。教科書お弁当向かってくるので。
私
次回お前が
Perfect.
Finally, a worthy opponent.
Love it.
Right.
Oh my god.
Are we on to my memes now?
Yes.
Right. Non-anime fans. Any anime character. Is this a Naruto?
I almost picked this one.
Well, is it?
Char clones now available in Cool Ranch and Natto Cheese.
Well.
Oh no.
A mysterious mask discovered in ancient ruins. JoJo fans.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Exactly. I didn't even read that. I just saw this. I was like, oh no.
Step 1.
Yes,
Tell the truth. Step 2. Viagra.
I love that's the vending machine too.
Yes. Next.
Oh no.
No! No!
Oh
Whoever did
no.
this, you're a bad person. Whoever did this, you're a horrible person.
Next. Hey, I need you to duel one of my suits. Sorry, other of my suits. Sorry, duel. I think it's supposed to be another one of my suitors. Okay, and it's Voltaeus.
Of course.
From Armored Core 6.
Of course. Suitors, yeah, one of her suitors, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, amazing.
Yep. I put that last one there mostly because it took me so long to fucking beat Voltaeus.
Yes.
Right, that is it for this week's episode. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching / listening. Next week, not entirely sure what we're going to talk about, but we'll fucking wing it, as always. And now it's time to bottoms up. I'm already bottomed up. And Kanpai.
No.
Kanpai.
Kanpai.